Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about something. It's been a trend that has really shown up just in the past few years. This wasn't something that people were doing a lot of in the past. We're going to be talking about graphic designed resumes. I'm not sure when this switch flipped. Actually, I do know. It's like when Canva got popular, where on Etsy, you can go and you can buy resume templates on Etsy. And these resume templates, they have background colors, they have photos. Sometimes they have a spot for a headshot. There might be stars where you list out your skills and you show 1 through 5 stars, like how proficient you are with the tool. And there are a lot of different opinions about whether you should or should not use one of these resumes. So, Dave, I'm interested in your perspective.
So I'm a big believer in that, 99.9% of the times you should not do this. That 0.1%, is maybe if you're a graphic designer. And then what I would tell you is have two. Have a version that you are going to send via email to somebody that is not going to probably go through an ATS. And they're going to sort of be looking at it with maybe a little bit more of a visual, critically visual eye. Otherwise, and you can't, and you really got to knock it out of the park also. I'd say you don't lose out from just having a crisp, clean, legible resume that doesn't look like you tried to smash a whole bunch of text of 8-point font onto a page. Because then it's just gonna be then this person can't edit, this person can't cut back, they can't, cull. So I'm a big believer of just a clean, simple resume that's concise and to the point, and it really should serve everyone. And then for the people that need more graphics, have a portfolio. Don't have your resume be the place where you actually show your sort of graphic abilities.
I mostly agree with that. And I think, some people listening to this might go, well, I have had one of those resumes and I've gotten 2 jobs with it. Or they might ask, well, Vince, have you ever hired somebody with a resume that looked like that? Which the answer would be yes. But I also agree with you. I don't think that it helps. Yes, I've hired many marketers who have had resumes with some color on it. I don't think that that at all was a consideration or impacted the resume and the hiring process. And if anything, and you kind of alluded to this with have 2 resumes, one for the applicant tracking system and one for if you're going to email it to somebody as an attachment, there are a lot of downsides where a graphic design resume could get caught up in an applicant tracking system in a way that a more simple text-based one wouldn't. And even for the small percentage that you mentioned of the designers out there, some designers would argue that some of the hardest resumes to complete are actually the minimalist, simple text ones. And you can show your skill as a designer through proper use of typography and white space on a resume, which is almost harder to be able to accomplish a really good resume doing that. And I love your point in terms of the portfolio, right? The place to really do that is to be able to include a website URL, or even in today's day and age. At one point, I had a resume with a QR code on it, where I actually think that could be actually really great today to be able to include small QR code in the bottom corner that shows your portfolio.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. But yeah, I always loved this quote. I think it was Ben Franklin, maybe Thomas Jefferson. I'm going to go with Ben Franklin, which was, if I would have written you a shorter letter had I had more time, is essentially the gist of it. I'll get you the exact quote. And it takes time to cull a document down to just the important parts. And people can see when you just throw the kitchen sink on there, you're filling it with a bunch of graphics and you're not really focused on the content. Right? People want clear and concise content that speak to your qualifications. And you don't need, resumes, research shows it gets 6 seconds, right? They're going to look at your name. They're going to look at the companies you worked at, the titles you had, and then they'll start to maybe skim the achievements. Have 2-3 achievements per job. You can make it work. It can be real crisp, real clean. What I've seen is when people get a little funky with the too many fonts and too much color, and then it actually starts to become a detractor. And so I think you really have to nail it if you're going to do it. But anything extra I actually think can start to be a deterrent and can be negative. And then actually for some companies, things like headshots and photos can actually disqualify you because they don't want it, because it could introduce bias. So generally, I'd say keep it super simple unless you've got a very good reason for why you would do those things.
Adding more to that resume could actually have a lot more things that could go wrong. I know at one point in my career, I worked for a manager who was colorblind. I didn't know this until after, months of being able to work with this individual. But that's something that had I have submitted a resume in color, could have been to my detriment. I've also worked in scenarios where an office that I worked in, the printer that we used most of the time was black and white. So a candidate sending a resume with a colored background with text on it could be fine if I printed it in color, but in black and white, it could actually have been really hard to read. So I think there's a lot more that you have to take into consideration. And from a time perspective, I would say that time is better spent on your LinkedIn profile photo, your LinkedIn banner, or your personal website. So the short answer, should you buy one of these resume templates on Etsy? Should you sign up for a Canva account and make your resume in Canva? Really great tool. Love Canva. Use it every single day. But I think the answer here for me is no. I think if you go with a text-based resume, keep it simple, less things that can go wrong, much more likely to be working with the applicant tracking system, and less things in general that you have to really take into consideration. So our website, tealhq.com, we have a lot of free resume templates. So save the 10 to 15 bucks that you would have spent on that Etsy purchase and download one of our free resume templates. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. As usual, wherever you're watching this, scroll down, leave a comment for us, and see you next time.